Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night. As tonight, the drivers get prepared to go left and right in the Watkins Glen area. The drivers of the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series for race number 3 get prepared for a track that, if you look at the history books, brings out a lot of drama, a lot of flair, and the unknown always seems to come out as the drivers get prepared for the F&G 40 at the Glen. It's going to be a fun one. Watkins Glen, like we said, always a fun race to watch because you never know how the outcome's going to be placed. Every finish has been kind of a shocker. There's been some type of drama that gets spilled in, and tonight I think we might see even more drama being piled in with just being the 3rd race of the season. Again, welcome with joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. And my name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up in the booth, it's going to be Zach Hall and Zach Watkins Glen. This is going to be the 4th time these drivers have had to tackle this track in this last couple of seasons. But I'm so excited for this one. We're no longer going to the boot like we did last time we were here in season 4. Instead, it's time for these drivers to get back to the Classic.
100% agree with you, Sam. Super excited to be back here at the Classic Cup version of the Watkins Glen International Raceway, and this is going to be quite the race, man, as it looks like they're getting ready to head into qualifying here in a few moments, and it's going to be very important because this place here with this Cup layout version, it's a pretty difficult place to pass, so you need to qualify well. It's going to be super critical who can put it together, as they got 2 laps here and 10 minutes to put it together, Sam.
It certainly is going to be important as we head down to track side. There's been only one driver, though, that has won this race from the pole award position. That was Trenton Jump all the way back in season 2. But for Trenton Jump that year, it was difficult. He found himself being pushed around and intentionally wrecked that race, but still came away with the win. Season 3, we got to see more drivers bringing out drama, where John Force found himself in victory lane. And then back in season 4, brought out the unique boot, where Cody Reed got his very first win in the Cup Series. I know for Cody, this season, this track, the confidence level is through the roof, but there's one driver that is back, a part of our class of returning drivers. We got 5 now total, with Cedric Hunter being the newest to that list. Got to watch out for Vincent Sora. He has won every road course he's touched all the way back in season 1, but then disappeared. Finally back here for season 6.
This is amazing to see. I cannot wait to see what Vinny has here tonight. I mean, if you look at his practice results, he was top of the board. So I think he's going to be the driver to watch out for. Undefeated when it comes to road courses here at ISRC. And I think that trend could continue tonight. But I got to say, the competition has raised a lot here, Sam. So I think he's going to have his hands full. And the thing is, you know, with so many drivers battling up front, they could get sidetracked. And you never know, the drivers that are running 3rd, 4th, and 5th could be the ones to really watch out for. As we've seen before, this place is very known to wear tires out, so just because you are farther back doesn't mean it is all over. It is tough to follow, like you said, and tough to pass, but you can get it done if you're able to manage those tires. So we'll see who's good at that, but right now it's all about finding the speed.
Finding the speed, staying smooth as drivers are getting out on track. Some have already started their first lap, others are just getting through warm-ups, but a big thing to watch out for these drivers, they only have 2 laps to put down their fastest time, and every corner is critical. If you make a mistake, go off track too much, hit the grass, that counts as an incident point. If you get an incident point, it takes away and invalidates that lap. And if any of these top drivers that are very quick, that was something I was talking with Cody Reed actually about, is you can put down a fast lap during practice because invalidated laps will still count if you get an instant point. But with qualifying, it's a lot more critical of hitting your marks. As Vincent Sora exits out of the final bend, hits the straightaway, what will the pace be set for lap number 1 of these drivers? And it's going to be a 1 minute, 12 seconds, .969 for Vincent Sora. But I don't know if that's going to be the top score that you're looking for. I think that you might need a little bit more speed if you want that top spot.
I got to say so, Sam, too. If he's going to have a pickup here, I think, to hold on to the top of the board, because I think more times as we come through are going to be quicker than that. I mean, we're about almost 4/10 off of what Vincent ran in that practice session, and I think we'll see some others do it. But like Cody was telling you, like you said, those invalidations, those off tracks, those can give you, a couple tenths here and there, and those could be the difference here for a few guys that have different times when it comes to practice to qualifying. Is Vincent's coming around the second lap. We'll see if there's any pickup in the tires.
A couple of other drivers that are starting to hit the board. The Ford Chris Preston going to be the highest of our rookie class in 4th place in the Ford machine. Christopher Norris going to bounce up to 2nd. But Vincent Sora hoping to be able to gain a couple of more tenths on this lap. Last couple of corners, now the last bend. Let's see what speed is left underneath this 15 for qualifying. These drivers also have 10 minutes to qualifying. I know a few drivers are deciding to wait a little bit longer to go for their lap. But for Vincent Sora's second lap around, doesn't look to be any better. So gonna stick with that first lap. A 1 minute 12.969 is the lap that everyone's trying to compete and beat. As some other drivers that we know that can have some quick speed, Danny Cochran, driver that is very fast, got the pole last time they ran back in season 4 at this course. He's hoping for the speedy lap, but first lap invalidated for the 2 machine. This is his one and only lap that he's hoping will count.
A little bit of a slip up there through the center of the S's, but gathers it up well at the top of the hill here. Now heading down to the bus stop chicane. This corner is very critical. Got to get super close to that inside wall, jump those curbs, and use as much as it is possible. As he's going to almost touch the grass. You can't get it off track there, but I think he's going to get away with that one there. So we coming out of the carousel, and right here, the newest addition to Watkins Glen is this paved area. You get to use all this space, and look at him as he tries to get back onto the racing surface.
Trying to maximize all that speed the best that he can. Also, I've been watching other drivers because everyone is able to qualify at this time. It's put out your lapses at any moment you want. Cody Reed spun out on his first lap. He had to go back into pit road. Zach, he's going to be having to have a very clutch lap for it to count. But Danny Cochran's one and only lap that's hoping to count. His first one didn't. The second hoping to put him deeper into the field, and it's going to be bouncing up to 2nd place, just a little under 2/10 slower than Vincent Sora.
I think he would have liked a better time and been on pole, but you'll take 2nd. That's much better, because all he does is, if he makes one more of those mistakes, he's likely starting around 21st at this point with some of the people who haven't qualified or put laps in. So more times coming. Looks like Cedric Hunter going to jump up the 5th on the board with his return back to the league. So that's a good sign for that number 7 machine. I think he's the 26th tonight.
Yeah, there was a little bit of complications. Race admins have already notified us that there was a little bit of an error for Cedric Hunter. On our ticker, he will be known as the 26, but on his truck and from here on out will be known as the 7 truck. Moving away from the 13 and bouncing up to 2nd place, moving Danny Cochran and the rest of the field down. John Forbes, winner of this race back in season 3, going to be up to 2nd position for himself. But Cody Reed in the 25, starting his last lap. Again, had to go all the way around to even try to get a lap in after spinning out on his first lap. And here we go for Cody Reed, starting his first official lap. And he's only got 1 lap to do it with 3 minutes and 25 seconds left.
Got to be careful there on the exit of 1. Can't get too much of the tires dipped off that curb. Is now into the first part of the S, now up to the second part. This is very critical, keeping the car as nice and straight as possible, not trying to slide and really lose any speed. He does a good job to hold it together there. As now he heads down to the bus stop chicane. We'll see how much curb usage Cody's going to use, as this is critical to get yourself as far over to the right here to open up that corner down into the carousel. And if you can get a good drive off, this lap here is looking pretty decent. This should be able to, I'd say, at least be maybe a top 5 time.
Hoping to get inside of the top 5, was hoping for the pole or at least be inside of the top 3. That was the ultimate goal for Cody Reed. And one of our faster drivers when you look at the road courses. A lot of drivers, though, Zach, I'm kind of surprised deciding they're going to be starting at the tail end of the field, deciding not to qualify. As driver of John Forbes, Cedric Hunter not able to advance in their times for their 2nd lap. But the 25, Cody Reed, one and only lap. How fast will it be for himself? Looking to beat a 112.9, not going to be even close. It's going to be good enough for 7th place for Cody Reed. And I know, Zach, that is disappointing on where you would like to start for this initial beginning, as Joshua Kanata, laps are already done, 11th place on the board, and it's just practice laps for the 16 machine, as the rest of the field deciding they will not be putting a time down. So only 23 drivers deciding to qualify. I mean, that's an interesting thought for some drivers, but, confidence level to road course for some drivers, it's just not there.
It really isn't. Some people are just trying to survive, man. They just want to focus on the race. They say, leave the qualifying to the guys that want to go up there and put themselves up front. And sometimes it's the best strategy if you just don't feel comfortable at a place like a road course. just start out back and just make laps. Sometimes just making it to the end of the race and keeping it on track and your equipment in one piece, you can come out of these races with sometimes a pretty decent finish with the amount of attrition and just incidents that purely happen throughout the majority of the race. So you got to stay focused, even though this might not be a road course guy, or you feel confident in these places. You can still come out here with some decent points.
I know a lot of drivers, again, just stay on track is their ultimate goal. For others, it's to get as many points as possible. As have a minute left in qualifying, Josh Granada can kind of get in his last little minute of practice while he's already finished up his time, and gives us a moment to shout out the amazing sponsors here for the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series. Starting things off with Lariat Productions. Lariat Productions is the title sponsor for the ISRC for the last couple of seasons. It's been a pleasure to have Larry partnering up with the Truck Series. He's been partnering up in many different ways before being the title sponsor, with sponsoring teams as well as sponsoring races. If you'd like to go check out the hilarious comedy and variety YouTube channel, and as well the funny videos that are posted on Instagram, go check out at Lariat Productions today. If you're wanting to see funny skits, comedy videos, as well as box openings, food reviews, he's got you covered at Lariat Productions. And also going to be our qualifying grid sponsor, Hot Lap Threads. Hot Lap Threads is your racing lifestyle tees, hoodies, t-shirts, and more. Hot Lap Threads offers racing lifestyle apparel, perfect for race day. Fuel your passion for racing with the apparel that looks just as slick as the cars do on track. Check out the Retro Racer Collection, a colorful mashup of synth, wave, and modern style, brought to you by the best in racing apparel. Check it all out at hotlapthreads.com. And our final sponsor, Morecast. Morecast is your has a variety of NASCAR content, including diecast, memes, and iRacing. Go on over to Instagram at Morecast. That's MOAR cast. On Instagram and on YouTube to check out the diecast reviews, NASCAR discussions, and more. Morecast, your stage winner sponsor for the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series. Well, Zach, warm-up sessions now here, giving the drivers a little bit more time to practice. I think it's always needed. I know this week they've been practicing probably the most I've seen, getting prepared for a road course. Some because they want the win, others just because they want to stay on track. But certainly a race that everyone knows is going to be so critical, especially when you look at the way that these point standings are looking for these drivers. As we take a look at the standings for the ISRC Truck Series, a lot of people know it is crunch time to make sure that you're hitting your marks to be in a position to make the playoffs. And currently, this is what it looks like after 2 races. John Forbes, top of the board, one of the few drivers, himself and Justin Campbell, that have finished in the top 5 for the first 2 races. Everyone else still searching for some consistency, but having our winner, Volley Fonseca, for race number 1, Nick Crawford last week. It's looking pretty set in stone up front, but that cutoff line, still a lot of fast drivers that we know, Zach, are just outside of that bubble.
That's right. I mean, I look at someone like GT Arzari from the past winner here at ISRC. They're in 18th. He's had his teammates of Travis Everett and Curtis Preston there to join him around that position. I think those 3 could be a threat. We've seen the likes of Moniz in the past go and win super speedway races and have some really good runs last season. Don't count him out. And also a few new faces sprinkled back here that might not have had the best of nights to start off their first 2 weeks, so to say. But I think as we get farther into the season, we're going to learn more about these drivers. And then you also add in someone like Cedric Hunter, who's starting his first race of the season tonight. He's going to try to add his name to this list.
Yeah, Cedric Hunter, a past Final Four contender all the way back in Season 3. We know that driver can be quick and fast and is hoping for the efficiency to get through the field and survive cleanly. As we also take a look at what the future schedule looks like for these drivers, as we're only 3 races in, counting tonight. The regular season is quite short. It is only 11 races in total, so this season can sneak up on you if you're not careful. But tonight at Watkins Glen, next week the drivers head to Richmond. The week after that they head to Legacy Phoenix, which that's going to be a unique race on how those drivers can tackle no longer having the dog leg to utilize to make some passes. Then they go to Milwaukee Mile, then Gateway after a week break between Milwaukee Mile and Gateway. This next cluster of 4 races, 4 short tracks, styled courses, this is going to be where drivers, if they've got tempers, they're probably going to flare up during this time.
That 4 week stretch, Sam, is going to be wild. So after tonight, I mean, even some of the tempers from tonight might even push over into Richmond. I mean, we could have a 5 week stretch of a little bit of tempers here for sure as we go to Charlotte to kind of cool them down, and especially Pocono. But then the one I look at that after that, Sam, I think I had circled coming into the season because it's actually the second time they've done it is Lime Rock. I cannot wait for that April 22nd. Make sure everybody's got that circled because that race for a road course is something very, very unique.
It's very unique, not a track that most leagues traditionally go to. It was ran all the way back in season 1 and kind of shocked everyone with how great the racing was. And the one driver that found himself in victory lane in a dominant fashion, Vincent Sora. That's what he started back in season 1, did his dominant stretch, won at Lime Rock and continued finding winning ways, then won at Daytona Road Course, stepped away from running the ISRC until now, back in season 6, to make a chance to become the first driver to become a 2-time champion, but trying to continue on his winning ways. But Zach, with 40 seconds left before we get this race started, who are those drivers besides, the favorite of Vincent Sora? Who's someone else, or maybe a few drivers you've got your eyes on that you're hoping to see maybe have a good race?
I'm kind of really focusing a lot of my attention really on someone like a Cody Reed, a past winner here, at a track like this. He's very, very strong at Watkins Glen in all types of cars. I've seen him do very well, and he qualified 7th. That was tough for him, but I will say I don't think that marks his true pace because he does run a little bit of a different line. It's gonna I think accumulate maybe some incident points for him, but those don't matter here tonight. You can get as many of those as you want. And I think in the race pace, Reed's going to be one to watch out for coming through that pack. But anybody really starting in the top 10, I think, has a shot at this thing. You never know what could happen, especially heading down the turn 1 here.
Yeah, the last time again they ran was back in season 4, utilizing the boot, which was some extra corners that the IMSA classes run in the Endurance Series. But the NASCAR Cup Series, they run the shorter course. And now we get ourselves prepared and gridded up. Last driver to win at this style of course, it was John Forbes, another driver that qualified well here tonight. As the field gets gridded up, qualifying is out of the way. Let's take a look at our hot lap threads qualifying results here tonight. Taking the pole award, going to be Vincent Sora in the 15 machine. He was the favorite to watch out for qualifying and for the race. Top of the board makes sense. John Forbes, get a last season's champion, going to be starting in second. Danny Cochran in the 2 machine, another fast driver here at Watkins Glen, always a favorite to watch out for, going to be starting in third. Christopher Norris, another ringer in the road course, in 4th. Nick Crawford in 5th. Cedric Hunter 6th. 7th is Cody Reed. So one of our rookies going to be starting up front inside of the top 10. It's Curtis Preston in the 4 machine in 8th. 9th goes to Mason Cassidy in the 17 machine. And Justin Campbell trying to continue on that top 5 streak, starting in 10th place for the 9.
Joshua Kanata going to start in the 11th position alongside him. In 12th, it's going to be Matthew Greathouse. Starting in 13th, it's going to be Aaron Kralik. Starting in 14th, it's going to be the 24 Vali Fonseca. In 15th, it's going to be the 98 Malik Kuntz. Alongside him in 16th, it's going to be the 34 Ryan Ferraro. 17th is going to go to Samuel S. Garcia, with 18th being held by Tyler Dingler. 19th is going to be the 8 Noah Steele, and rounding out the top 20 is the 5 of Dakota Moniz.
And in 21st position, it's the 91 of Mark Morales Jr., hoping for a good run for himself. Tyler Horn in the 30 machine, starting all the way back in 22nd position. Justin Malarkey going to be all the way back in 23rd position. 24th is Cody W. Williams. GT Irizarry back in 25th for the 14. Joshua Freed in 26th. 27th, we find Travis Everett with Justin Smith in 28th. Rich Holland back in 29th. Mark Beverly, going to be in 30th. And 31st is where we find Max Cost, coming off of last week's race, or wasn't able to run very long, but Max Cost hoping for a decent race here tonight. As the driver's going to pace around this course, we get to take a look at what the driver's race analysis is going to be for tonight's race, because it's going to be quick. It's going to be just 40 laps in total here, Zach. It's going to be a very quick race. One of the fastest, I would say, races we're expected here this season. With our stage break at the end of lap 10, there will not be a yellow thrown at that stage break. There's not expected to be any yellows thrown unless there is a complete racetrack stoppage where it's just completely clogged up with trucks and we're just not able to move forward. Also, there will be 0 fast repairs, but 4 sets of tires in pit road. Not expecting to use too many sets here tonight, which is 40 laps.
Very, very quick race, like you said, Sam, with especially, no yellow flag at that lap 10 stage. Still the points given out, like you said, a no yellow. So we're going to continue on, and that's where the strategy is going to get interesting because these drivers can do about 29 laps on green flag runs. So really that opens the window for possibility here. You could technically pit at lap 11 and make it to the end of this race, but I think more than likely the window is going to really open up around lap 16. You may see a very aggressive pit around then, but I think 18, 19, and 20 will be the majority of the number most people are trying to hit.
Drivers getting themselves prepared. Tyler Dengler, one of them, that is changing up his strategy, decided to actually qualify this race and start the field. That was kind of a running joke with Tyler in the past. Asked him, hey, are you going to continue with your trend of starting in pit road? He said, no, I'm not going to. I'm going to start actually with the field. That 19 started in 18th place. Very decent road course driver. Tyler's known for staying consistent. And talking to some of the faster guys, they said, hey, consistency might be the key just to get a good, decent race for yourself. And they're just hoping to hold on for themselves here tonight. Well, Zach, any final thoughts before we call it green and get ourselves racing here tonight?
Well, get ready for turn one, folks. Downhill braking zone. It's really one of the best passing zones on the track. But right here early on, cold tires, cold brakes. These drivers are going to have to feel themselves out as they head down into one. Watch out for maybe someone trying to dive it 3 wide and make some action happen here early.
31 drivers hit the track here tonight for race number 3 for season 6. It's the ISRC Lara Productions Truck Series back to green flag action. The F&G Tools 40 at the Glen is back underway. Vincent Sora taking the point. John Ford's going to be to his outside, and everyone thunders down into turn number 1. A little bit of 3 wide action already. 4 wide deeper in the field, but the exit of turn number 1, slight wiggles, but it's Vincent Sora pulling away. Clean shot for the 15 as everyone else tries to make it through the S's with these cold tires.
John Forbes all over the back bumper as they head up through the S's, and going to lose a little time to Sora as that dirty air is so tricky through that section of the track, but now through this section, much easier to follow as they head to the bus stop, but very easy also to miss your marker following very close to the truck ahead.
Following the truck ahead down into the bus stop, everyone so far in the top 15 make it cleanly through a part of the section where drivers try to slow down, find their good speed. Then through the carousel, we watch John Ford still hunting and hounding this 15 machine. And Vincent Sora, lap 1, not a smooth one at all, but at least keeping his bumper ahead of John Forbes as the rest of the field still trying to set up for passes. And Cody Reed, as well as Justin Campbell, 2 biggest movers so far in lap number 1, both up 2 positions as we exit out of the final bend. Vincent Sora leading lap number 1, and that's 1 of 40 down.
John Forbes already taking a look here off the rear camera here. We're going to get to see the 11 dive up the inside here, heading down to 1. What's Vincent Sora going to do? Going to put it on the door, and I think that outside line is going to be where you want to be here. But actually, Forbes able to stay alongside, maybe get a side draft, but Vincent Sora does clear as they head into S number 1.
Makes it through turn 1, up through the S's, and each time they go through the S's, going to feel a little bit more comfortable as the tires get a little bit more heat built in. But everyone's surviving lap number 1 so far throughout the field, as the 15 and the 11 going to be your top drivers to watch out for. And, we were looking at practice and the times. They were so close to one another, Zach. I mean, usually when you see road course racing, there's about 2 to 3 drivers that are about a second ahead of everyone else, and everyone else is pretty similar in the middle of the field. This group, top 10 drivers were all within a second. We could see this close rate of racing of our top 10 all night long.
I'd have to agree, and right here we're going to ride on board John Ford to see what it looks like to follow Vincent Sora. And, if I'm the likes of like Danny Cochran, Christopher Norris, Cody Reed, Nick Crawford, I love what I'm seeing from these front 2. They're going at it already. Forbes is really putting Vincent Sora on the defense, and that's just going to make them use their tires up more. So if you're 3rd, 4th, 5th, this is kind of the prime position to be sitting in here with John Forbes putting the pressure on us. Now you can see the times flashing through. Danny Cochran with that fastest lap last time.
Fastest lap goes to the tube machine, but yeah, tire wear, I think it's a big thing of note for us to continue to talk about, because that was the big thing that helped out Cody Reed looking back to season 4. Tire wear on the fact of his deciding to pit a little bit later than everyone else and then saving his tires when everyone else is very aggressive. I'm curious if everyone else is taking notes on, do we really want to be pushing this aggressively? And looking at the lap time, Zach, no one is even close to their qualifying times at all under their first laps.
Exactly. That first lap, a 13, 87 there. And that's the first lap, truly all the way coming back around up to speed. So that just shows you how much they're trying to save. And you can't go out there and try to push 13 flats. If you do, your truck's just not going to stay with you. You will be sliding so much. So not surprised to see Vince Sora just trying to control the pace out here and not go too fast to pull out to this gap. Because right here, this is the kind of the perfect position for him to be. As you can see, Forbes not able to attack him here, but in that dirty wake of that 15 behind, that's only going to hurt the tires of the 11, as he just is not going to have the grip to keep it straight, in that wake.
Vincent Sora slowly starting to pull away. Cody Reed now with the fastest lap of anyone, and that is 4 tenths faster than the next fastest lap. Cody Reed really put down a burner, trying to work as hard as he could to get by his teammate of Christopher Norris from Snowy Desert Racing, as Snowy Desert Racing having all 4 of their drivers inside of the top 10, that being John Forbes in the 11 machine, Cody Reed in the 25 in 4th, Christopher Norris in 5th, and Nick Crawford in 6th. All 4 of those drivers know how to be fast at road courses. The majority of them have actually found some of their first wins in this series at a road course, and they're trying to continue on with their dominance of being a fast team at every track that they go to.
Exactly right. They're just very consistent, is from what it seems. You got the likes here of even the 7 of Cedric Hunter, who's the 26, like you said, on that scoring monitor, but also the 9. Look at Justin Campbell. What a job by him here to stay latched on, as this first 8 have kind of broken away as they build a gap back to Mason Cassidy, who's directly ahead of Curtis Preston and Joshua Canada.
Trying to pull away as quickly as they can, as this field is trying to figure out where they want to place themselves. Justin Campbell currently in that 8th place position for the 9 machine, as other drivers that are trying to make their way forward, leading the second pack, you could call it, Mason Cassidy. There's a lot of high hopes for Mason Cassidy here tonight. Kind of surprised a few with how well the 17 has been running here tonight. And this was something that we saw a lot of growth last season for Mason Cassidy, was getting faster at qualifying as a 17. It was the long run where he was starting to struggle a little bit more. And here tonight, starting well, qualified 9th, currently still in 9th. That's not a bad place to be if you're holding back some strong contenders behind you.
You're exactly right, and Preston definitely looking pretty strong right behind him. And along with that, you got Ali Fonseca, who's not far behind, but I think Matthew Greathouse in the 51, guys, I think he had a major issue in the bus stop. He actually just got into the outside wall, and you see he's going to get back fired up. Luckily, it wasn't too big of a hit. It really was just a light tap because he got it slowed down, and they have it paved there, Sam, but tons of loss of track position for him.
Yeah, lots of time, and that's exactly what happened to Matthew Greathouse. Got through the S's pretty cleanly, but an easy mistake you can make heading into the bus stop. Just looks like maybe got a little bit too much on the braking, maybe mistimed the shift, because it just snaps on him right when he goes in the first corner.
I'll tell you what, it looks like sometimes when you go across that first curb, you're almost like a motocross rider jumping a jump, because it's pretty much what you're doing. It's all 4 tires off the ground, and I think he just hit that curb wrong, as now he jumped back up here. Cassidy's gotten passed by Preston, and now it's Canada who's looking to the inside, but Cassidy going to be able to close the door.
Starting to close the door, but still trying to move forward is going to be the 16 of Joshua Canada and others, as trying to set up, how do you make this pass cleanly on the driver ahead? Do you just stay patient? Again, a lot of different ways you want to tackle this, especially for Joshua Canada, because that 17 machine is on the last point that you can grab for stage points, as each drivers will have a stage caution at the end. We'll not have a stage caution, but we'll have the stage at the end of lap 10, as I believe there's trouble for another driver, Malik Kuntz, having some trouble through the bus stop for the 98. But Zach, that stage break is sneaking up on these drivers because there will not be a full course yellow, so you got to make all these passes cleanly under racing conditions.
That's exactly right. No full course yellow, so you got to make sure everything is done during the race, and makes coming back from any mistakes very, very tough. But it's like the 98 of Lee Kuntz, who did have that mistake in the bus stop. It's just a place where it's so tough to be consistent every single lap, because like I said, you're pretty much jumping the car across those curbs, trying to carry as much speed as possible, and it causes some issues a lot of times. As we got Travis Everett here in this 13, he was trying to chase down that 98 who had that mistake.
Travis Everett, first car outside of our top 16 in points, tied with GT Irizarry, trying to gain a few points is the 13 machine if possible here tonight, and taking every little bit that you can on these positions, as continue to battle back and forth. Also having Ryan Ferraro as the field is starting to kind of split away from one another. We're starting to get these defined pods and pockets of drivers that you're going to be racing around all night long, most likely. And you better get used to some of these drivers and figure out their tendencies so you don't have your night thrown away in an instant.
Like you said, you get the little pods. Like, you got the guys who have the same pace as each other, and like you said, you better get used to them because you're going to be around them for pretty much the majority of these 40 laps. And it's going to come down to, of that group, you know, you have the same pace, but it's who makes the least amount of mistakes. Like you said, I think a lot of drivers talked about that. It's just who can come out here and just not, you know, have those mistakes. And that's going to really lead to good things for a lot of these drivers. We'll see who really is the first one to have that first mistake and get the chance to the other ones behind.
See Nick Crawford, Season 4 champion, and during that championship run, won at a road course at Fuji. Very different, very fast road course compared to Watkins Glen. That's a little bit more flatter and not as many technical turns that you'd focus on. And still very quick. Nick Crawford, kind of a sneaky road course driver, you could say. I mean, we've got our absolute favorites like Danny Cochran, Cody Reed, Christopher Norris. Nick Crawford's always there, but he's not always someone that you circle up and say, you're the favorite to watch out for this race.
You know, there's only a few places that I feel like I really circle him for the road course being the guy to be. And one of those is Road America. It seems like that's always been a dominant place. Is now we're going to go look at the battle for third here. Cody Reed up the inside in the final corner. Now Christopher Norris, what does he do? He has an opportunity to push his teammate. It looks like he will. There was almost slight contact between that 2 and that 25. Is this group racing hard here, losing some ground to those front 2 up ahead here?
And just, you know, if you don't make a clean pass, all you're doing is hurting yourself and the other drivers around you. And for Cody Reed, he thought he saw the opportunity exiting through the final bend. Not enough spacing to work with. Instead, will lose time. And instead of being within about 2 seconds to the leader, he'll now be about 2.5 seconds off the leader. Losing quite a bit of time on that small little battle. I mean, it was so, small in the moment. But as you see this lap progress, it is just mounted up that these drivers are just still losing time. As Cody Reed and the rest are trying to figure out how to get by the 2 of Danny Cochran, or is Danny trying some trickery like he's done in the past? He's one of those drivers that's really good at saving fuel and also trying to save his tires for the later run. But Cody Reed not wanting to be patient. This 25 is antsy right now.
Yes, Cody Reed wants to get going. He knows he can see those front 2 ahead of him. His teammate John Forbes and Vincent Sora getting a little bit smaller in that front windshield the longer it goes, with him stuck behind the 2 who has really just done a good job of being there. He hasn't made any real big mistakes, and that's why Reed hasn't had too many opportunities other than that final corner maneuver, and that's a tough one to make stick. You got to really get the good drive off heading down the 1. So personally, if you're Reed, you want to set him up out of that final corner and make the pass into 1 here, but very close heading up through the S's this time.
Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's the last lap of this stage for these drivers. There will not be a full course yellow, but when they cross the line, where the drivers are on track is what points they will grab. Vincent Sora trying to stay ahead, get 10 bonus points and maximize on the stage, and the rest of our top 10 drivers will get bonus points as well. 10th place, only 1 bonus point, and there's still a close battle between Josh Kanata and Mason Cassidy, but I think Cassidy should be able to hold off unless he makes a major mistake. But there's the gap between the white, blue, and yellow compared to the purple machine, and Kanata now under fire from Ali Fonseca, and I think that might be just the battle that the 17 needs to hold off for this 1 bonus point.
That's right. It's the 16 there trying to fight off the 24s, the 17 saying, yep, that's exactly what I want to see in the mirror, because that's going to allow me to try to go get this final bonus point. But here comes Kanata with a good drive into that penultimate corner. He's able to actually get somewhat close, but I think Cassidy is just going to be too far away here as he heads into the final corner.
Too far back, and Vincent Sora will become your Morecast stage winner as you take a look at where our points will be gifted. Vincent Sora, John Force, Danny Cochran, Cody Reed, Christopher Norris, Nick Crawford, Cedric Hunter, Justin Campbell, Curtis Preston, and Mason Cassidy will be your stage point winners. And your ultimate winner goes to Vincent Sora in the 15. 10 laps in the book, and just like that, I mean, Zach, we've only been racing for almost 15 minutes, and we're already 1/4 of the way through this race.
This is crazy to say already. I mean, it flies by, man. It really does at these road courses, especially the shorter length ones like this here. especially, you know, with only 8 turns at this track. It really just is a fast lap time. As those two up front have stayed together pretty well. This group here's, again, stayed pretty well together also. As you can see, Christopher Norris here on our driver cam, he's trying his best to follow maybe Cody Reed, his teammate, through. He's got his other teammate right there with, too. But it's tough right here when you're in the middle of this.
See Christopher Norris as he has been trying to set his way to figure out, do I get by my teammate, work with my teammate, what do I want to do here? As they go down in the turn number 1, down the long stretch, on the front stretch, heading down into turn 1, heavy braking zone. Danny Cochran continues to just hold steady as the field just watched John Force, Vincent Sora pull away. And I think for this group, they might have been also hoping, yes, they wanted to make the pass, they wanted to catch up to Vincent Sora and John Forbes on their own speed. But at this point, you're just trusting that those top 2 are just overcooking their tires and they'll just fall back to you. But at this rate, Zach, I would say this isn't looking perfectly for this group. I think it might have to come down to some strategy calls if they want to catch up to our leader, and what are some pit strategies maybe they can help themselves if they want to try to catch up to the front 2 currently.
Well, technically the window has opened. If you want to pit here and go to the end, you can make it happen on fuel. Your tires are going to be very hurt at the end. I think that's the problem that you don't want to do that reason for. But again, I think lap 16, if you're getting super aggressive, will be that undercut strategy of your 1 pit stop of the race. But I think lap 18, that's going to be the money stop. Something about that number of 18 with 22 to go, I think just feels much better, because once you get to a certain lap time, these tires seem to run a similar, you know, lap time over and over again, as long as you're consistent.
Trying to stay consistent as much as they can. Cody Reed diving it down low for a quick moment, but just was not close enough to try to complete that pass. Other drivers that are having some close battles. Talked about that battle for 10th place. That is starting to rage on a little bit more, as Mason Cassidy and Joshua Kanata and Ollie Fonseca now on top of one another. And you see the 24 and the 16 getting a little bit sideways. They'll stay sideways through the S's, and they're going to continue this fight. Not the safest place to be, especially 13 laps into a run. Those tires are hurting, and you're going to keep it together, and Ollie's got to back out. There just isn't enough space, but Kanata breaks loose. Here's the opportunity for the 24s to hit the back stretch.
I thought the 24 would have the run, but I think he had the lift when Kanata got loose, and that checked him up too again, as they made contact in that second S, and that really put the 24 wide up the hill, allowed the 16 to hold back home, but a loose over the curb is Kanata. Here comes Ollie Fonseca once again as this battle continues on between these two.
Trying to take every opportunity if you can, and Ollie Fonseca seeing a chance to get by Joshua Kanata, 2 drivers that practice throughout the week, trying to find ways to take these advantages, as see Kanata heavy braking into that second to last corner, and Ollie Fonseca going with the opposite, kind of just letting the racetrack come to him, and able to tackle to get right back in that rear bumper. Better exit for the 24. Slow in, fast off, but it's not enough to try to close in and make this pass. They'll have to wait another lap to build in some speed, as a few drivers call it this lap 13 to 14, is their time to hit pit road. Mark Beverly, Tyler Horn, and Justin Smith all into pit road, and Mark Beverly calling it a race for the 97.
Oh, and side by side once again up through the S's, they made contact, and it was Fonseca this time who took advantage of it, and he's going to pull away. As I just look at Kanata, the rear tire stand are gone on that truck. Fonseca's been so much more smooth, and allowed him to make that pass very easily.
Makes the pass smoothly, moves forward. Also, I have an update on what happened to Mark Beverly. Snapped loose off the exit of turn 1, hit the guardrail, too much damage, decided to call it a night for the 97. Also, staying in pit road is Tyler Horn, who has not been feeling too comfortable out there on track. Decided to come in pit road, and also dealing with some slight damage, as Tyler Dangler trying to hold steady for now. Other drivers, though, where is their comfort level on how they want to get through this race? Because there's some drivers that have been having some massive slip-ups. Ryan Ferraro, one of those in this 34, who had a big slide through the bus stop.
Big slide through the bus stop for him. Yeah, that was a wild ride for sure. And it just shows you it's actually Ferraro is slow off the carousel too. So I think he overheated his tires in that bus stop with the scare. And then he came out of the carousel, and next thing you know, the 34 was into the inside wall. So shows you how quickly things can compound here as we're checking out the 91 of Morales here. He's battling with the 33 of Cody Williams. This is a battle for a top 20.
And Justin Malarkey just had an incident coming out of turn number 1. Now he's now into pit road with required damage. drivers are feeling the pain. After we crossed over to lap 12, it has just been every lap somebody's spinning out or getting into the wall because those rear tires are just not happy. It's Mark Morales, 20th position. And again, we talked about how some of these back drivers further on back, it's just survive for a chance to get a good position. And at this point, it's proving right. Just survive and you might keep a position or gain 5.
That's very, very true. Like you said, just survive, man. You'll keep going forward as Morales here, trying to get away from those drivers. And he's got about 3 seconds up the road to Richard Hurst before he'll be able to fight for that position. And there's plenty of action right behind him. He's got Malik Coots and Matthew Grayhouse coming in behind Cody Williams here, who again, once again, on the carousel, great run here, going to look to the inside, but not be able to get there.
Cody Williams in the 33 machine, part of the rookie class. 12 drivers entered the rookie class for season 6, and it's always so impressive to see the rookie class and what the skill level is going to be. And, you know, sometimes we look for drivers that are going to be taking the top of the board. Others just mixing and mingling with some of the regular and the veterans of the series. And Cody Williams works on the outside lane and will make that pass to Mark Morales. Morales trying to hold back Malik Kuntz, who Malik had a big slide, losing a lot of time earlier, and also has to figure out how to hold back the 51 of Grayhouse. And Mark Morales just went from I'm comfortable to hunted and hounded by drivers that have made mistakes earlier in the race.
And he is. They're all over their back, his back bumper. He's trying, I think, right here to just settle in behind him and hopefully hold on to these spots. But lost 2 of them. I think Matthew Grayhouse might be looking to come through there also, as he's had some decent pace after his incident. As we look back up here to the 7 machine of Cedric Hunter, who's the 26 on our ticker right now, behind Reed. So, wow, Reed back to 5th here. And Nick Crawford, I think, is in pit road.
He has just entered pit road. Was Nick Crawford, the first of our top 8 that were up front. And I'm not surprised to see Cody Reed starting to fall back. He was being very aggressive again. Didn't qualify where he wanted. Felt like he needed to gain all those positions back. And because he was running so aggressively, he kind of took out his tires, and now it's salvage mode to just see maybe if a top 3, top 4 is possible for the 25. Now it looks down to be Vincent Sora. If he makes a mistake, maybe John Force can capitalize on it. But this field on lap 17, are you marching to hope that you can maybe pit at the halfway point? You pit a little bit sooner if you're some of these drivers just out of the clutches of our top 2. It's going to be a big decision coming up for the field in the next couple laps as we fall back to the drivers that are in the middle of the field. Eric Kralik, 14th position. Oh, and Dakota Moniz goes drifting in the grass for the 5 machine, and he'll keep it pointed straight with a lot of oncoming traffic. That's a huge save for the 5, even though that was not the exit he wanted through the bus stop.
Back to 16th there as GTR is already going to move up to 15th with that mistake for Dakota Moniz. Is right now looking at it, doesn't look like, oh, actually, has Cedric Hunter on pit road, so he pits from the 6th position. So we are having more pit strategy come in here, and not surprised to see that. A few of these guys, I feel like maybe just being stuck behind the dirty air, somebody is what's holding them back.
Now, holding them back, but when you make these pit stops, something that's going to be critical, make sure you pit. When you exit a pit road, you have space to work with. You're not right behind a huge pack that you can't utilize your fresh rubber, and you're actually using more of your tire rubber than others. Nick Crawford lucked into having about 4 seconds of space to work with and try to run down and catch some of the speed back, as Cody Reed and the rest of the field trying their best to just continue to stay on track, even with the tire wear that has fallen away. Here you want to find yourself. Nick Crawford back in 18th position currently, and will be ahead of Cedric Hunter by almost 2 seconds. That is a huge gain by the 74, but how much of this window is going to be worth staying out for the rest of the field? Now, are they going to be able to run down the drivers that have already made their pit stop?
And here comes the interesting part. John Forbes from 2nd, he pits, and that's what I wanted to see from this 11 machine, because if you just do what Vincent Sora does up front, I don't think you're getting around him. You have to get ahead of him, put the dirty air on the nose of the 15, let him experience what you felt, but you got to be able to go out here and also with this tire advantage that you're going to give Vincent Sora, you got to be able to manage it also while you're out front. So this is going to be all in the hands of Forbes now, where it all comes out when Vincent Sora comes back around here. And we'll see, does Vincent Sora, elect to come around here on this next pit stop?
I mean, for Vincent Sora, he's not forced to pit this go-around. He had such a big enough gap and a lead that I think if you wanted to, you could stay out for another 2 laps and still be pretty close to keeping the lead, maybe be right behind John Forbes, and also then having the tire advantage. This 15 machine has a lot of openings on what to go for. Do you pit on 20 or lap 21? I would imagine he stays out for another lap just to split this race fully in half. But you never know with Vincent Sora. He could change things up here and maybe go long compared to the rest of the field. Or is it this lap that the 15 is thinking about? And it's going to be this lap. Does not want to give his competition even a chance to be in front of the 15 machine. Into pit road. Danny Cochran will follow in suit. Justin Campbell will be the next car in line. Pit road stop for the 9. Curtis Preston will be the next driver expected to hit pit road. Or does the 4 stay out for a chance to maybe lead a lap, get that bonus point in the 4? Staying out. What's that bonus point for leading a lap?
That's what I thought the 4 would do. You know, he was kind of in no man's land. No reason for him to undercut. I think you go out here, get you a lap led here, and then come to pit road next time by. There's no reason, in my opinion, for him not to. So we'll see what the 4 does. The only problem for him, if he does pit next time by, Mason Cassidy stays out, he could get passed by Cassidy before he's able to get to that line with how close they are. So we're going to have to think about maybe stretching it another 2 laps.
And the race out of pit road is now, and Vincent Sora will stay ahead of John Forbes. Forbes had some slower traffic in front of the 11 that actually forced John Forbes to lose more time than gain. The 11 back to being over a 1.5 seconds back from Vincent Sora.
Tough break for him. That was not what you want to see if you're in the 11 camp, because if you're going to undercut someone, you want to hopefully get out ahead of them. Now, with the tire disadvantage being behind, this is a tall task if you're on that side of the 11 camp.
The big thing that's hurting a lot of these drivers, it's GT Irizarry in the 14. Now he's in a position where he can stay out for a little bit longer if he would like, but there's a huge gaggle of cars that are being held back, and this has helped out Nick Crawford to able to get by Danny Cochran and almost allowed Cedric Hunter to get by the 2. As the 14 stays low, Cedric Hunter tries to blast on the outside, will do so, and that's going to hurt Danny Cochran the most here for the 2 machine, because now he's got to fight to get by the 74 of Nick Crawford.
And that pass won't be easy. You know, the tire advantage is there for the 2, is now the 14 of GT Irizarry is going to come to pit road. That advantage is there for Danny Cochran, but I still think that the pass is going to be very, very tough. You know, everybody was stacked up behind that 2 machine. It'll be interesting to see how he can do now being behind the 74.
Cedric Hunter, biggest gain of a lot of those drivers that are inside of this group of 8 was staying behind Christopher Norris and Cody Reed. Well, now he'll move up to 5th and bounce ahead of those 2 drivers that find themselves on top of one another as the rest of the field. Majority of the field's already made their stop. There's about 1 or 2 that still need to hit pit road. We have just crossed over to the halfway of tonight's race. Thank you so much for joining with us. We're going to take our first commercial break of the night here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. As your top 5, a little mixed up here, but it's going to be Vincent Sora that finds himself in the lead position as the rest of the field get themselves prepared for the end of this race. It's your F&G 40 at the Glen as the drivers get themselves ready and prepared for the end of this race. We'll be back right after this. 5 wide behind for fifth.
Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work. They make it last, bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. That's it.
It's
Bottom line, here it comes. I know, Carter gets wrecked. It's gonna be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trying to drive it down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck it.
Oh, they wrecked! They wrecked each other! The top two bounced into one another, just too much of side drifting off of, and they gotta be careful. Oh no, the 4 demolishes in the 28. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series. Race number 3, F&G Tools 40 at the Glen is underway. It has all been Vincent Sora up front for the 15, winner of the stage, got the pole, and has been the dominator for majority of the night. We have lost a total of 3 drivers so far, being Max Koss, Justin Malarkey, and Mark Beverly, all being kind of tossed around off the exit of turn 1 and having troubles once the tire wear really kicked in, and that's something these drivers are going to have to deal with that are in this picture, as they're the group that pitted slightly sooner than our leader of Vincent Sora. Hoping to grab an advantage, didn't work out, and while we were under that commercial break, Denny Cochran able to make the pass on John Forbes to take 3rd place back. The driver that's on the move, Cedric Hunter. That's 7 machine on your screen, 26 on our ticker, is certainly moving right now. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up the booth is Zach Call, as always, as we also have part of that of Robert Moyer Jr. Running Productions in the background. Zach, this battle starting to heat up, and it's again the drivers that we've seen all race long and the front runners. It's kind of been hard to move the camera away because they've been this close all night long.
They really have been. It's been so impressive to watch. And now Reed's brought himself up into the battle, and I gotta say, like you said, I think Cedric Hunter might have been the biggest winner out of all this strategy. He did a really good job to get himself in the top 5 position. He's going to have to fight Reed, but I feel like Reed is, kind of struggled as the run goes on. So if you can at least hold him off for a little bit longer, if you're Cedric Hunter, you might be able to hold on to that position in the 7 machine. This is at least, I think, a good debut for him back to the.
Certainly is looking like it, as more drivers have found themselves in some major issues. Samuel S. Gonzalez caught up in a mess, losing the front bumper for the 50 machine. Malik Kuntz has called it a night for the 98, and it just has been trouble for a lot of drivers through either the west stop, turn 1. Those have been the troubleshoot spots, as losing another driver. The back half of the field has been struggling to keep their tires underneath them, but honestly, up front, we've also seen that trouble of drivers getting slick. Cody Reed was one of those drivers that was slipping around a lot. We saw a little bit of slipping from Danny Cochran, and I'm curious on who else might be feeling the pain later on with those 5 to 6 laps to go window, and this track is going to be at its worst.
Exactly. When it gets to 5 and 6 to go, they're going to be really hanging on. So we get to see the weather here. We get to see how everything is interacting with the track here. So we got that 78 degrees here. Partly cloudy weather here for that ambient air temperature, but you can see a 107 track temp. That thing is scorching out there, folks. That track is very, very hot, and we even got about a 6-mile-an-hour wind there, so that right there is going to have a decent little bit of effect. And surprisingly, it looks like we're sitting at 0% wind, so it's interesting to see as the wind's kind of switching all around from northwest to west. So that can have a huge effect here as we're about to have a good little battle here, folks.
Cody Reed, how does he want to get by Cedric Hunter? Cedric Hunter, one of those returning drivers, missed out in season 5, decided to step away and try his adventures at other leagues, and decided, I'm going to come back, as the 7 is trying his best to come away with the top 5 on his returning race. Cody Reed, on the other hand, this is a race that he had a ton of confidence coming into and wants to find himself up front the best that he can, and was hoping for a top 3. Qualifying didn't go his way. Now was aiming for a top 5 if possible, as these drivers continue to try to close in on the gap between one another. There's another battle that's also going back in 10th place. It's Mason Cassidy and Ollie Fonseca, 2 drivers that at one point had Joshua Kanata mixed up with them. Well, Ollie is slowly but surely taking small little gains here tonight, and It looks like he's looking for another gain, if possible, take this 10th place position.
Let's see what Ali can do here, closing the gap down to Mason Cassidy. I believe these two are on the same team too, Sam, so this is going to be interesting to see how they race each other. But we know Ali is willing to send it here on these road course races. He's always flirting with that top 10. I feel like that's always the position he sits in when we come to these, battling with guys like Kanata. And right now he's battling with the likes of Cassidy, who is slipping and sliding through these corners. But you can see even likewise, it's Ali doing the same thing. So it's a great battle back here going on.
The drivers up front, they have not been hindered by our commentator's curse, but I'm going to test my feet once again. Poor Ali Fonseca, if you look at the way that he's been running, he was on a massive streak. His first 3 seasons of this series, always finishing inside of the top 10. But since season 3, he's been almost at every road course that I can think of and remember. He's had at least 1 to 2 mistakes each race that has cost him from finishing inside of the top 10. Tonight, he's hoping to break that curse if possible. And I'm hoping to break my curse of a commentator's curse. That is what I'm hoping for Ali Fonseca, as he's trying to set up to get by Mason Cassidy. And again, when you're running around a friend that you know, it certainly feels a little bit more comfortable. But when you're the defending driver, you also could feel a little bit comfortable because you know the other driver's tendencies.
Exactly. It can make both drivers actually relax a little bit more and make it a little bit actually tougher to actually make passes because you feel confident you're not looking in the mirror as much, so to say, if you're Mason Cassidy, just knowing that, hey, me and Ali run around each other a lot. We've practiced together, and he knows how I drive, so I'm probably not going to have an incident with him. But I'll tell you what, if it comes out to the last lap and they're this close and they get side by side, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some paint lead on each other because they're going for that final top 10 position.
Absolutely not. There was a big scare just about a half a lap ago. Joshua Freed goes spinning around and coming off of turn number 1, and then Noah Steele gets loose out of 1. Almost contact between those two drivers, and it was 2 separate incidences that almost went down as they were all battling for here's going to be the Noah Steele incident as he comes running down into turn number 1. The exit is just the chasing match for the 8, but in front of him was also going to be the 39, already spun around from his spin that he already had, but by himself, gets wiggly, chasing it around, and Dakota Moniz almost found himself caught up in that mess. And there's the 39 on the outside. That was another vehicle that could have been distracting this group as they were trying to make the march up through the S's.
There wasn't much room there on the track there for guys to make reactions, but they all did an excellent job, in my opinion. We're going to see exactly what happened to Freed, who was that white truck there parked up on the outside. And look, he just got a little bit too much, almost similar condition. He's going to spin to the outside and actually catch a little bit of the barrier. So you're going to see here Steele, and even maybe that yellow flag popping up, still looking for where the incident's at. That could have been his issue going into the braking zone. And even that, as I say that, turn 1 downhill braking, one of the easiest places to lose the rear end, so to say. So no surprise to see some of these drivers have that issue.
Trying to make their way through as quickly as they can as the field continues to race forward. One of the closer battles is still Dakota Moniz and GT Rosari as GT starting to lose a little bit of touch to the 5 machine, and as well the battling for 4th place. Ooh. Nick Crawford having a little bit of a spin, almost a spin, with the 74 off the top of the S's.
That was so close, Sammy. I was actually reacting to that as the 74. I mean, you had the 26 or the 7 on the truck there all over the back bumper going through the S's. I don't know if that took the air off or Nick was just trying to get a little too much to try to hold back that that 7 truck, but just couldn't do it here. So we're actually going to get a good replay of what happened here coming off that exit of that S's.
Feeling the pressure from Cedric Hunter. Again, 7 on screen. And they also were trying to get by the 50 machine. Gonzalez that's running extremely off pace and just trying to get as many positions as possible. But, oh, that was a close chance. And that's the one spot where you've got oncoming traffic that you do not want to have a wreck happen.
Yeah, that you don't want to have happen for sure. And right now, even as we went back and looked, they're back side by side heading into 1. And Reed here right behind them is even got Christopher Norris. So, again, this grouping been together all night. They're fighting for this 4th place position as Cochran has pretty much driven away about 4 seconds put to this group. But it looks like now the 7's going to be able to hold on for the moment as Crawford was putting up a good fight back to him.
I mean, Zach, the top of the S's, you can gain and lose a lot of time, and that slide hurt both Cedric Hunter and Nick Crawford so much that it allowed Cody Reed, Christopher Norris to get back in the mix, but also allowed Justin Campbell to be back here. 5 drivers, all within a second and a half of one another, and this is all the battling for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th that are all battling here on top of each other as they go through the carousel. 10 laps to go. This is crunch time, but you also could throw this race away in an instant if you're not careful.
We got us a Hello Kitty train here with Cedric out front, man. This is definitely interesting to watch. I don't know if Crawford, like you said, with that lap car or that truck, that may made him have the mistake coming off the S's, but he seems like he's kind of recovered. He's keeping the pressure on this 7 truck. And like you said, it's brought Reed, Christopher Norris into it. And if something happens again between this group once again, Justin Campbell's only his 2nd back from Norris, so he'll be right back into the mix. So just like you said, huge losses of time if you make that mistake at the top of the hill heading down that back straightaway.
Huge loss of time, and as this group continues to race on, we did lose Cody Williams in a 33 machine, an incident 3 laps ago, which was Samuel S. Gonzalez still out there on track. The 50 machine able to gain 3 positions and now move up to 25th position, even with being 3 laps down, just showing, hey, even if your race feels like it's out of reach, stay out there on track, and if you still can, you might gain a couple of positions before the race is done. And these critical points are so crucial if you even want a chance to make the playoffs. As we've seen so many times, it comes down to 1-2 points if you're in or out of making the playoffs each and every season.
It really does. And I tell you what, I thought a few things were out of reach for a few guys, but the 2nd place position of John Forbes, he has turned up the wick here, Sam. He has ran down the lead here. It's gotten down to a half a second at times. He had a huge mistake coming out of the carousel that lost him a little bit of time back to 7/10. But don't say this is over yet. This 11 here has found something late in the race.
He certainly has, and John Forbes is a driver that is basically for the past 5-6 laps has been gaining time slowly, periodically through each and every corner. As you take a look at the 11, trying his best to get through the S's. And what also has been helping John Forbes, I think lap traffic's been helping, but I'm curious if Vincent Sora maybe is saving a little bit if the 11 gets too close.
That's very, very true. And, I think he's got to be saving a little bit for if he comes up here. But at the same time, you can't let him get too close because that gives him the opportunity to make a dive maneuver. And you never know here late in these races, if you're John Forbes, you're going to take a risk here if you have a chance. And you don't want to be that in position if you're Vincent Sora as he's trying to put down these trucks a lap. And looks like Ryan Farrar here going to get right out the way. He's going to stay racing here side by side. And this might actually affect Forbes here as they head down to the final corner.
Forbes is going to have to take an odd turn and not the prime turning radius he was hoping for, but will still try to gain time and to lose about a 10th there after the pass around lap traffic. Thought maybe it was going to be a better gain for Forbes. Instead, it backfires as they drag race their way down into turn number 1. 7 laps to go here tonight, and the difference 7/10 as they start going up through the S's.
We'll see if he can get a good run up through the S's. This is such a critical spot of the track and really tells me if Forbes has anything left in the tires, because if he can get a run through the S's, it tells me there's a little bit of life left there, and he's actually able to stay pretty even through them, even though he's a decent bit back, still able to stay pretty even with the time. Where he's really gaining is in these spots like this, in the bus stop, in the carousel, and in those last 2 final corners. He's really attacking the entry more than that 15.
This is exactly the type of racing we've seen John Forbes do in the past. I think back to when he won back in season 3, it was the attacking on the entry of the corner where the 11 has always been quick, especially through the bus stop where the 11 can find a lot of speed. It's the second half where it seems like he loses that time and has to gain it all back off the last corner and hope that the draft kind of pulls the 11 back into the mix. But with lap traffic in front of our leaders, it's also assisting Vincent Sora as they go down to turn number 1, and we'll see how much lap traffic's going to hurt our leader because he's got 2 lap cars directly in front of him as we're about to be making the march up through the S's.
Yeah, this is going to be very, very interesting for Vincent Sora. How is he going to navigate this? Because John Forbes, if Vincent Sora has to check up here a little bit, Forbes could be there. So this is a huge moment for him. I've been watching Forbes the last few moments. He's been sliding a lot, and you see Vincent getting in that dirty air, that washed that nose of that truck up the track, and he was kind of catching it. So he's getting to find out what it feels like to lose that nose.
in to lose the nose just slightly and in through the bus stop. Vincent Sora cannot afford to lose any time here. John Forbes hits his marks, cuts it down to almost half a second. Both lap cars go wide. They're giving Vincent Sora the space, but all the time was already lost. Half a second is the gap, and John Forbes will gladly take 2/10 away with 2 lap cars in front of our leader.
That he will. He loves to see that. He is not complaining one bit about that. Maybe Vincent Sora the other way, as those 2 lap cars battling in front of him, definitely holding him up just those couple tenths. That could be critical coming down to the end. But the case here for Vincent Sora is he's got to calm down, hit your marks, and if you can get through the S's, it's going to be tough for John Forbes to stay with that gap.
And Vincent Sora across the line, somehow only losing minimal on the difference. Just a little bit under a 10 was the gap being gained by John Forbes on our leader of Vincent Sora. Still 7/10 as they go up through the S's. It just looks like it's continuing to stay at the same pace, and Vincent Sora has paid his way of hitting his marks, and there's no longer any lap traffic really to worry about for at least a lap or 2. Maybe with 3 to 2 laps to go, you might see some more lap traffic ahead of our leader, but there's not much. It's a lot of now down to John Forbes, Vincent Sora. What do you have left underneath this truck that can make you make or break in a win here this season? Both searching for the first win of season 6. They try to become the 3rd driver to win this season with 3 races. As they continue to go back and forth, it looks like Vincent Sora holding on steady. The battle for 4th is ramping back up, as well as the battle for 7th, as Christopher Norris kind of stuck in the middle of watching his teammates having to fight or defend for their positions.
This is heating up for sure, as the 9 has been able to drive up to the 74, and he's got the 38 of Christopher Norris right ahead. Justin Campbell, what a race for him. I mean, especially after Auto Club, finishing that 2nd position, making the great call to top off on the fuel. He comes back here to Watkins Glen and continues his great run. He's got an opportunity here to possibly get a top 6. If not that, if something happens up ahead of him, get a top 5 maybe.
Yeah, and if we see the 9 get a top 5, and as well John Forbes get a top 5, they both continue on their top 5 streaks, both having top 5 in all 3 races to start the season off. And for Justin Campbell, he's got a lot of work because he's got to get by these 2 drivers and then also catch up to Cody Reed. If he's going to make this streak continue on, we're going to have to see Justin Campbell make some very bold moves, get aggressive with some of these passing zones and willing to kind of throw away his race. Otherwise, you kind of stick with the top 10. It's not a bad day if you're Justin Campbell, and this should be still gain of points to stay inside of our top 10 in points, as he came into the night being 5th in points overall.
Huge night for him for sure. Definitely love to see that, his points gain for himself, and he'll definitely take what he's, which position he's in right now, but he wants more. He sees it right ahead of him, and he has the opportunity. He's got fresher tires also, so we'll see if he's able to take the opportunity of that. But here's the 25 of Cody Reed. Can he get past Cedric Hunter to get a top 4?
Is Cody Reed starting to fall off just a little bit, but now just praying for mistakes by Cedric Hunter. What tire wear will be seen? It's Cody Reed. Felt like he got a better exit out of the corner and not able to set up, but with 3 laps to go, Vincent Sora had the fear for maybe about 5 laps, but 3 laps ago, it was go time. The 15 has hit his marks, has driven by lap traffic, and John Forbes, I think he might have used up a little bit too much of that grip, because the 11 is now over a second back from Vincent Sora.
I seen it once he got within about a half a second. The 11 started to slide. If Forbes could have had the lead here early in this race, it would have been a very, very interesting one, because I feel like Forbes has definitely used the tires more, but I think that could also come down to sometimes the dirty air even a factor. So, it comes down to a lot of things, but Forbes has really put up a valiant effort to make Vincent Sora really have to work for this. But late in this going, I'm not really surprised. I think he's kind of fought off that wave of those tires, made him overheat him. Now Vincent Sora, he just needs to have 2 more clean laps, and he should be able to get this thing done.
He should be able to, and with our leaders, the last lap car that they just passed, put a lap down, that's Richard Holland, and I'm curious we can look back at the 18th place runner, the 31 machine, Richard Holland, the biggest mover so far here tonight, up 11 spots, and another driver that's up multiple digits, that's GT Rosario in 15th, but Richard Holland being the first car 1 lap down in 18th place, not a bad position for a driver that started all the way back in 29, did not qualify, decided to start in the back, made that decision on their own, and moving up 11 spots. That is very impressive when you look at how tough Watkins Glen has been for a lot of those drivers deeper in the field.
This is exactly what we talked about at the beginning of the race. Right in the grid is, the drivers who elected not to start, or not to qualify and start out back like Richard Holland did. Look at what he's done. He's just had a clean, very quiet race. And now, look, he's the biggest mover of tonight. That just shows you don't have to be the greatest road course driver. You don't have to be a road course ace. You just got to have the ability to keep it on the road. And that's what Richard Holland's done here so far.
He's done a great job at it as Vincent Sora exits the final corner to set up for the final lap. It's your freaky fast white flag out in the air for the 15 of Vincent Sora, trying to continue on his dominance at the road courses. Every road course that he's ran in this series, he has won. And tonight, there was really no surprise after around lap 10, keeping the lead after grabbing the pole, pulled away. John Forbes has not really had a clean chance to even attempt to make a pass while they've been running clean and green, and it has been a perfect night for the 15 so far.
That it really has. This driver shows why he's been undefeated in the past and a past champion. So I'm interested to see how can he take this to this success from here at the road course and carry it to the ovals, because I think that's where he's got to learn the most. I think this was natural to him here, being a road course ace like such he is. But we'll see when we get to those ovals later in the season.
Vince Sora, just 2 more corners to go. Got 1 lap car still to pass. We'll see if No Steel even wants to cross the start-finish line or just settle with going a lap down. But for Vincent Sora, final corner. When he left back in season 1, he was the most dominant driver in every category you can look at. Well, it took him just 3 races from his return, and Vincent Sora is back into victory lane for the F&G Tools 40 here tonight at the Glen. Congratulations to Vincent Sora. Zach, the question for most of the season, well, at least coming into the season when we knew Sora was coming back, was how long was it going to take for the 15 to get into victory lane? Well, it didn't take long.
It didn't take too long at all, and man, what a job it was. What a battle between him and Forbes. Forbes really made him work for it, and there at the end, he really put the stranglehold on the field and just showed his dominance with a sick little burnout here.
Having fun with the burnouts. There's a few other drivers that are still trying to finish the race here tonight, but all the battles that were going on, no one has made any late laps passes so far. The closest battle on track would be for 15th, but it's not close enough to really make a difference. But Vincent Sora back into victory lane, grabbing his 7th career win. That slots him to 4th all-time. And Vinny's got a lot of work if he wants to become the all-time winners list, because he's still got 10 more wins to go to try to beat his rival, Mark Whitley, from season 1. Mark stayed, though, for plenty of seasons that climbed those winning columns. But for Sora, he's right back to where he was before, and that is winning races and in dominant fashion. Does it again. Is Sora here tonight? Is himself and his teammate and Danny Cochran get to race around. We'll start to do some burnouts when they get back to the start-finish line. But for us, we're going to step away. When we come back, we'll talk to our top 3 and talk to our spotlight driver right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the post-race show of the ISRC Layer Productions Truck Series. Tonight, the drivers had a great showing. Our first road course of the season, the F&G Tools 40 at the Glen. It didn't take long for this driver to get back into victory lane. Last time he was in victory lane was January 24th, 2022, when he won the Season 1 championship. But tonight, Vincent Sora, 2 years later, is back in victory lane for Season 6. Vinny, it's been a while. How are you feeling after getting your win here at the Glen?
Oh, dude, I feel awesome. It's so cool to be back in this league after what I did the last time I was here. And just to race with these guys again. It's been so long for a lot of them. You know, I raced with a little handful of these guys over in WSSR last year, and I had a lot of fun there. And then a few other things came up, and I'm not able to race over there anymore. So Danny talked me into coming back over here. It was a lot of long nights of him trying to get me to come back, but I'm thankful that he did it because it gives me something to look forward to on my Mondays now, and I think I can run with these guys pretty well, and hopefully go get another championship.
Definitely showed out tonight, Vinny. Congrats, man, on the win here. It's definitely great to see you add yourself right back to that win column. But, you know, let's get down to that race because Forbes definitely put the pressure on you tonight. He definitely didn't make it too easy where you had to just cruise. So, you know, the pit strategy was pretty interesting with him undercutting. Did you think there that it was just necessary to stay ahead and keep that clean air?
Yeah, I mean, I knew that clean air was going to be the biggest thing of the race. I did a good bit of practice throughout the week, so I knew that whoever had clean air was pretty much going to be the dominant truck all night, and I knew that qualifying was going to be the big part of the race. So I focused a lot on getting a fast lap. I was able to do it. None of us that set a fast time in practice really set like anywhere close to what we actually did, which I kind of expected. You know, we're all taking it easy, just trying to like get a solid lap in. But yeah, John, I knew he was going to have to undercut me probably, and I was just pretty much saving my tires the whole run. And when I saw that I came out like 1.5 ahead of him, I knew, well, I got the tire advantage. I'm going to have more fuel than him. Pretty much everything's in my favor here. So if I just ride and do my thing and just keep him at a 1 second gap, then I should be fine. And then with about 8 to go, I was like, you know what, I'm going to push and just try to build a gap on him. So I did, and I was able to pull it out about 2.5 seconds. So it's pretty cool. Just glad I was able to do it and get back and talk to you guys again.
I mean, it's always great to talk to you, Vinny, up here in the booth for the post-race show. This season, I know the schedule's it's starting to now hit its tough portion. Zach and I were talking about it at the start of the broadcast. These next 4 races, short tracks or short track type courses we're heading to Richmond, Legacy Phoenix, the Milwaukee Mile, and Gateway. What are your thoughts for these upcoming 4 races, and what are you hoping to gain from them, or is it just survival mode for these next 4?
No, it's go and get more wins and get more points. Richmond is one of my, I think actually probably statistically my best track on iRacing. So I'm really looking forward to that race. I won't be able to be here for Legacy Phoenix, so that sucks. But after that, I think you said it's Milwaukee and Gateway. Milwaukee I won last time in a bit of a controversial way, but hopefully that won't happen again. I'll just do it off a raw pace. And then Gateway, I've never raced ever before, but I did a few practice laps there, and I think I should be fine. So the game plan for the next month or so is just the same as always. Go out, get some wins, and get this 15 to the top of the points.
Well, we can't wait to see how you're going to perform in those upcoming races, Vinny. But before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for tonight.
Yeah, I just want to give a big shout out to everybody in the league that makes this possible. They do a great job. You know, these guys have been running this thing for like 3 years now with no problems. So great job to them. Appreciate them for letting me come back and race with everybody. Big shout out to my team over here. Cedric came along this week, so shout out to Cedric, shout out to Danny, shout out to Danny for painting my trucks. They always look awesome. And then my team outside of the league, Category 5 Esports, and everybody at home watching, and Super Fast Broadcast.
Well, that will be the 15 machine of Vincent Sora. Congratulations on the win, Vinny, and good luck next week at Richmond.
Hey, you guys have a good one.
You too. As we head from victory lane, we go down to second place. The driver that won in this same configuration back in Season 3 comes away second here tonight. The 11 of John Forbes. John and Sam and Zach up in the booth. It looked like for one instant you had a chance to catch up to Vinny, but it just wasn't enough, man. How are you feeling, though, besides just coming away in second? What's your overall thoughts on tonight's race?
Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty great coming out with the second. Just throughout last week, I know a bunch of guys were putting in tons of laps, all comparing lap times and all their data and stuff, and I was like, man, I know if I could just like I was busy all week. I was like, all right, I know I can come away with a top 5 just hopping into the session. So all their goals were like to win the race. So I was like, all right, you guys can do that. I'll be fine with like a top 5 this week. But yeah, then we got in the session. I think I was just running the Xfinity line from the college race the other month, so it really helped. I think to hold the tires on it, and I know a lot of the field are going down into second, a lot of the corners, especially through the bus stop and the carousel and stuff. So I was just keeping in third through there, just keeping the momentum up, and I think that helped a lot for the long run, just keeping the tires and stuff on it. But yeah, Vincent just had a little bit more than I had. I got him down to like 0.6 behind at one point, and then I felt the tire slide once, and I was like, all right, there they go. They just started getting worse from there, but cannot complain with second and the way the season has started. I mean, just looking back to like last season, it was much worse than this. I can't complain with 2 seconds and a 4th so far. So yeah, I want to get a win though. That's the next goal here.
Definitely would like to see you in that winner column, John, but great race tonight, man. Congrats on second, and very valiant effort, man. Put the pressure on Vincent pretty much throughout the whole entire race there. You know, take me through it. Do you think if you could get clean air, what do you think that could have been the difference maker on the situation? Because you seem really quick right behind him.
Yeah, the clean air definitely would have helped. I mean, I felt it when I got off of pit road, like 2 seconds behind him. The truck just drove so much better. But I was just talking to Danny about it, and we thought just having the draft in general, it actually kind of helped here as well. So it did help us, me and Vincent, to get ahead of everyone. But yeah, I think that's kind of, he definitely had the speed, but kind of a deciding factor on if I was able to pass him or not. Because even if I did get side by side, just the amount of tires I had to use up to just stay like near him, it would have been a really tough pass.
Well, John, again, congratulations on a great run here tonight. We're now heading towards a lot of short track racing, Richmond, Legacy Phoenix, and Milwaukee before we get a week break. What are your thoughts on these next 3 races, and what's that confidence level at?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Richmond. I'm always pretty quick there, so that's definitely a spot I can look at, circling on the calendar to get a win there. But I love Legacy Phoenix. I know I don't know if they still run there, but the old Legacy trucks, the hourly series runs there, so I'll sometimes hop into those for fun. I'm usually pretty competitive when get some guys in there, so yeah, that's a fun track. Looking forward to that. Then Milwaukee, of course, it's definitely a good one as well. So just looking forward to getting on some of these pretty similar tracks next coming up weeks.
Well, it's a joy to hear that you're excited to hear your voice, that you're amped up for this upcoming part of the schedule. But before we let you go, John, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, I want to thank JDF Performance Mods for being on the truck this season. Go check them out on Instagram. Of course, eFlex Fuel as well. Go check them out as well. I want to thank my brother for putting some paint schemes every week together for this thing. So, and I want to thank you guys for putting these on. Can't wait to go watch the broadcast back tomorrow.
It certainly was a fun one for us to watch here tonight, John. Hopefully you enjoy it tomorrow. Congratulations on second, and good luck next week at Richmond.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
You too. As we move from second place, we go down to third, where we get to bring in the 2 machine of Danny Cochran, who had to really survive and hold back the water that was behind him, as there was a lot of drivers that were hoping to get by, but were not able to. Danny, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Man, how are you feeling? Because I think you were probably working the hardest out of anyone here tonight, trying to hold off for third place for a minute there.
Yeah, I was kind of just playing my best Ryan Newman impression. Cody actually messaged me after the race and called and said I was Ryan Newman, which is kind of what I was going for. The main thing I wanted was just hold on to the clean air, because it makes such a big difference with all the corners on these road courses, man. It just helps your exit so much if you can have the clean air and have that extra downforce on your nose. So that was the biggest thing, was just fighting really hard to hold on to that. And it ended up working out for me, thankfully. But yeah, I noticed at one point I had an entire train of guys behind me. So yeah, I'd say some of those guys weren't too thrilled about it.
Definitely was a good job of holding them off, Danny. So, you know, it's tough when you got the pressure of these road courses to be able to do that. And with a good run like tonight, getting your first top 5 of the season, you know, that's going to move you up, it looks like tied for the 6th place position in points. So These next 4 races there seem to be a grueler coming up. How do you feel being 6th in points?
Well, I really like the schedule coming up. Legacy Phoenix is going to be interesting, seeing as we've never raced there. Outside of that one, I'm pretty excited for Milwaukee, pretty excited for Gateway. Charlotte, I could take or leave. Pocono is truthfully probably going to suck with this package, but there's a few weeks there I'm pretty excited about. Richmond, I think I'll do okay at, but yeah, I mean it's going to be pretty fun either way. I think we'll see a solid showing from CSR again there, which actually that was really cool. 1, 3, and 4 tonight. I was really happy about that. I think we put a lot of people on notice, and I think that's one thing we're going to carry into the next few weeks is kind of building our case for the team championship. Having Cedric Hunter join us tonight, that was really cool. Having him on board with CSR. Yeah, man, sitting 6th in points. We should have had much better finishes than what we've gotten. We got caught up in some nonsense at Daytona. Didn't play the fuel mod right at Auto Club, but now we're getting into some tracks where I feel like if we can just put down some solid performances, I think we can really carry some solid momentum going forward.
Well, Danny, we're excited to see how yourself and your team run these next 4 races that are coming up. But before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, first and foremost, Vinny, really cool having him back. Got CSR back together. The season 1 dynamic duo, really cool to see. He got his first win, so I'd say I'm about due here. Hopefully we'll pick one up in the next couple weeks. Big shout out to John. He had a lot of speed tonight. I know he's been working a lot with Logan Clempett, and that's really shown. He's improved tremendously. Very talented driver. Cool to see him doing well. Cedric Hunter, new teammate. Welcome to the club. Really fun having him on board. And all my friends and family who support me and watch these races every week. I know tonight was probably grueling to watch. Like you said, holding up an entire train. And last but not least, all the moms out there cheering for the 2 truck. Sorry we couldn't get it done for y'all, but we'll get them next week.
Well, that is going to be your 3rd place finisher of the 2 machine of Danny Cochran. Congratulations on a top 3 finish, Danny, and good luck next week at Richmond.
Thanks, guys.
As we move away from our top 3, we got a little bit deeper in the field, but we talked about him late. Our biggest mover of the race, going to go to the 31 of Richard Holland. Richard, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Congratulations on being our biggest mover, a top 20 for yourself. Man, how are you feeling after your performance here tonight to come away 18?
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's nothing special, I guess, but I just tried to keep it on the track, and I don't know. I feel like if we had qualified, we probably could have maybe been a few spots closer, but I don't know. I was wondering why you were giving me an interview. I didn't realize I was the biggest mover, I guess, but no, it was a decent race. We kept it clean.
Definitely did a good job moving through and keeping it clean, Richard. So, man, congrats on that. And with this run here tonight, that moved you up a good bit in points, got you up to 19th in points. Heading into these next stretch of 4 races, I mean, starting off for Richmond next week and then heading to the other short tracks such as Legacy Phoenix. How do you feel heading into that, we would say grueling part of the schedule?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the road courses and short tracks aren't our favorite, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll practice a bit and maybe I don't know. We'll see what happens. I needed some good finishes. We didn't have any luck at Auto Club either, which I was hoping for. So kind of been down and out here the last few weeks, but hopefully we can pick it up here.
I mean, Richard, coming in as a rookie, how has it been trying to run with this grouping of drivers where kind of the majority of the field is a core group, and you're one of the 12 rookies that came into this season?
Yeah, I kind of noticed there's a lot of guys that have run here before, obviously, and yeah, it's different. I'm used to running with a bunch of people myself that I know, so running in a league where people you don't know and they're all kind of a clique is weird. But no, there's a lot of fast guys in here, a lot of competitive guys, and it's tough for sure. But we'll give it our best shot. We'll see what happens.
Well, Richard, again, congratulations on being the biggest mover here tonight. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for putting on the show and you guys for doing the broadcast. I've gone back and watched the races, and you guys do a hell of a job. And I know everybody likes to go back and watch these things, and so we appreciate that. And just everyone that puts on this league, it's a lot of good racing, it's fun, and yeah, all the drivers, everybody's awesome. Like I said, very competitive, fast guys, so good group of guys.
Well, it helps when you guys give us a great show to cover. That's going to be your 18th finisher here tonight, but ultimately your biggest mover at Watkins Glen this evening. It's the 31 of Richard Holland. Congratulations, Richard, on a good finish, and good luck for this upcoming stretch of short track races.
Thanks, guys.
As we move away from our interviews here tonight, thank you again to all 4 drivers that hopped in with us as we get ready to take a look at our unofficial results for tonight's race. Road course racing action used to drama building up for who's going to get the win, but tonight kind of stayed to where we thought it was going to be. Vincent Sora up front, dominating and able to hold off John Forbes for second place. Danny Cochran also had to have his own war, holding off everyone behind him for third. Cedric Hunter also had a great battle between himself and Cody Reed for that 4th place position and 5th. Justin Campbell just finishing out outside of the top 5, so his top 5 streak will end, but the top 10s will continue on for the 9 machine. Christopher Norris will finish in 7th. Nick Crawford in 8th. Finishing out our top 10 will be the 4 of Curtis Preston and Ollie Fonseca in that 10th place position. But Zach, overall, I'd say a lot of these drivers kind of finished where they expected, but except for the drivers in the back half of the field.
Yeah, I think a few guys definitely had a few incidents that took them out of it. They're going to be at the back half of this order, but I got to give a shout out to someone like, like Tyler Dingler. Like, normally starts, like we said, from pit road, starts out there and doesn't get involved in anything and ends up coming with 13th place finish. So that's a good run for that 19 team. We had some other guys really make some big moves through, such as GT Rosari, who, was one of the biggest movers along with Richard Holland back there in the 18th position. So had some drivers that made some movements, had some drivers that had some backwards movements too, such as the likes of like Malik Kuntz back in 27th, who really unfortunately had a tough night along with Samuel Garcia.
Yeah, some drivers just not having the finish that they were hoping for, but they're going to have to recoup. And coming off of a tough track like Watkins Glen, it doesn't get any easier as they get ready for these next 4 races, short tracks for the next 3, a short track styled at Gateway in a month from now. And it's going to be a fun month that we get ready for March as it's Richmond, Legacy Phoenix, and then the Milwaukee Mile before they have a break on the final week of March. Before April 1st, they head to Gateway. Going to be a fun spree that these drivers get ready for. But it's Vincent Sora that comes away with the gold. As we can take a look at our upcoming schedule, well, we got something new on the board. We now are going to be covering 4 days a week, starting this week. Tomorrow night, the drivers of the BRB Butt Kicker Series Cup Series get themselves prepared as they are counting down the races to the end of their regular season. Tomorrow night, the drivers at the BRB Cup Series head to Rockingham in the Next Gen Cup cars, as only the top 10 make the playoffs, and they only have 2 more races left, counting tomorrow night on who will be making the playoffs. Excited to be joining up with a new league. You might see a lot of familiar faces if you've seen some of our past leagues that we've covered before. Then on Wednesday night, we get to give you the coverage of the WSSR, because it is crunch time for that field. It is Atlanta Super Speedway, the current configuration of Atlanta. It's the last race of the regular season. Who is making the playoffs? Because there's about 6 drivers that are close to the cutoff line. There's only about 3 spots that are left to be grabbed. Then more Atlanta Super Speedway on Thursday, but it's with the Next Gen Cup Car Open Setup Series of the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. Fun racing action, and Zach, back to a full week of racing coverage.
Gotta love seeing that all filled out there on all 4 of those banners. That was really cool to see, and great to have BRB, come here with us and join with us on. They'll have a great race tomorrow night at Rockingham. Can't wait to see how that all plays out. Like you said, WSSR's in their regular season out, and it's very close there for points for a few guys trying to make it in, and the situations are definitely high. And then, of course, the Next Gen Cups, Next Gen Cup Series, we got their Doghouse, that open setups. We've seen some wild race in Iowa. It was such a good, race to really lead us into Atlanta. I really can't wait for this week to finish out, man, because I think we're going to have 4 excellent races, and it all started tonight with that 15 truck putting himself in victory lane.
It certainly did start with Vincent Sora taking the win here tonight. Well, thank you so much to everyone that joined with us here this evening. It's been a pleasure to give you the coverage of the Watkins Glen race of the F&G Tools 40 at the Glen. Vincent Zora back on the win column, 3 races, 3 different winners, and I got a feeling it might see that streak end next week at Richmond with some of the speed we're going to be seeing from these previous winners that we have in this series. Race 4 is going to be a blast to watch, but for tonight, for myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, and for Robert Moyer Jr. and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you so much for joining with us here on your Monday evening. It's been a pleasure. We'll see you next week for more Richmond racing action, but if you need more racing fix before then, we've got you covered tomorrow night. It's the start of a brand new league as they're closing down to the end of their regular season. It's the BRB Cup Series. Don't miss it. Next Gen, Rockingham. It's going to be a fun one. That will be our next Freaky Fast broadcast.